What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's broadcast. If you enjoy what I've been talking about and you enjoy all the content that I'm putting out on YouTube, which you are, because I've gotten a bunch of subscribers in the last couple of weeks, so I'm assuming you guys like it. If you do, just let me know. Do you like it down below? Say yes, no, or what can I improve on? If you do like it, just make sure you like and subscribe to this broadcast. If you like and subscribe to it, it tells me that you like it, it tells YouTube that you like it, and then they put it in front of more people. Let me mute myself real quick. And then it makes this thing available for all. And if you really like the show, make sure you share this and let people know that you like what I'm putting out. If you have suggestions for what you'd like me to talk about, make sure you put those in the comments as well, because I want to make sure that I'm putting out content and information that helps everybody and that helps you out. I just got my headphones stuck and it scared me a little bit. A little spooky moment. Anyway, I'm going to share my broadcast out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a dive into the market. And like I said earlier, one thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to have my market update here on Mondays. And then on probably Wednesdays, I'm going to be putting out a DeFi specific content piece. And so that content piece is going to be like, what do stable coins mean? What are stable coins? How to generate yield in DeFi? What is looping leverage? How do you take something that's that's not so risky and move it into something that is risky and play with house money? How do you get into DeFi? What are the different platforms, Phantom, Avalanche, Ethereum, all that. So I'm going to cover that in a separate playlist, because I think what it'll do, it'll condense this one to specifically focusing on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the overall market. And that one into focusing specifically on on DeFi and decentralized finance, and how you can earn yield and how you can earn rewards, and essentially how you can create probably a second source of income for a lot of people, or what I call a pillow in that area, without getting wrecked and without chasing APYs and without getting into a position to where you have to sort of hope and pray that you're going to win. So I'm just going to share this with my group, and I'm going to link the link to my group in the comments. So if you want to join, go ahead and jump on the link and I will approve you in there. Okay, let's get this party started. So what I wanted to start off with today is, and if you're joining me live, just give me a hashtag live down below so I know that you're with me. It's fun to see who's actually on live. So we're going to share our screen. And right now we are in CoinMarketCap. So I just kind of want to do an overview of the market. What was interesting, and let's just look at a chart real quick before we get into the charts. But what I thought was interesting is we had that sort of dump. It was a pretty gnarly dump when you look at it. As of recently, like on April 18th, we went down to 38.6. And then last night, it just kind of plummeted down to 38.2. But then we had a pretty good wick right out of it. And now we're sitting just below this line. So the market's up right now, and the market's up because we've had a pretty good drive. I mean, we've driven from 38.2 all the way back up to 40,700. So that's not bad. And we're sitting at 40,600 right now. So anyway, what the market's going to look like is short-term positive. As you can see, Bitcoin's up 4%. It's up. Ethereum's up 4%. 7-day average is lower, though. This isn't necessarily the time to celebrate. We still haven't broken through key resistance points, but it was nice to see a pretty powerful rally come about. Some interesting things that came about. I think I may have talked about this last time, but Terra US dollar actually flipped Binance US dollar. So I thought that was really neat, because Terra is the one true decentralized stablecoin. There's no centralization to it. Terra is algorithmic stablecoin, but now it's backed by Bitcoin, over $1 billion in Bitcoin at this point. It's backed by, I think they purchased $1 billion in Avalanche. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but they're building this war chest of decentralized assets, and they're moving Terra to be one of the more dominant stablecoins, and the stablecoin that can't be shut down by a central authority. When you look at Tether, USDT, that can be shut down by their central authority. So can US dollar coin, that can be shut down by Circle. So if we want to avoid regulation and we want a truly decentralized world to where an entity can't control it, then Terra is kind of our best bet right now. And so that's on the move. It's looking good. And it's really neat to see it surpassing Binance US dollar, which is another centralized stable coin. And I'm going to do this week, I want to do a video on stable coins, because what I've noticed in 2022 is it's become the year of the stable coin. It's the year of stablecoins battling for yield. It's the year of stablecoins getting wrecked and going to zero. So what I think is important for the community watching this to understand is what a stablecoin is and which ones are the right ones to put your money into. So on Wednesday, I'm probably going to do that for my DeFi series for this week. If that sounds interesting, just comment yes down below. But taking a look at the overall market, something like Luna is just unstoppable. I mean, every time Luna goes down, it punches straight back up. And there's legitimately let's find Luna real quick. But legitimately, every time Luna gets punched down, it just like it touched its bull market support band and wicked right back out. And now it's just chilling right here. It's just seemingly unstoppable. It's ridiculous how strong Luna looks right now. Like my buy zone, it hit right here, which is just within my buy zone, $74. What did we hit? We wicked down to 75. So that was the golden opportunity for a buy zone right there. And then we pushed straight out of it because that's kind of the retracement zone that I was looking at. The other one I would look at would be 51, which maybe during a full-blown bear market, but it's just incredible how strong this coin's held up and how much the market currently wants it right now. So aside from Luna, I did watch AVAX go down to like $60 last night, which was a steal. It's back up to 73. When we look at AVAX up on the charts, AVAX isn't as strong as Luna. Looking at it, it hasn't been able to actually clear this bull market zone. It has cleared above its 200-day moving average, which is indicative of a bullish run. But now it fell below, and that's when it wicked all the way down to 67.50, which was a pretty hot buy zone. I have it marked as 73.37. And so that was a pretty prime opportunity, because when you look at what my buy zones for AVAX were, is we've got 97 and like 73. So, I mean, even right now it's coming up into it. We're at 73.07. So this was like golden. This is like a golden opportunity for me. And when you look in the past with AVAX, we had trouble in this zone. We fell through this zone, then we cleared this zone and pumped, and then we kind of fell back and forth. But this has been a clear zone that's been an indicator of up or down for AVAX in terms of the ability to dump when it doesn't clear and the ability to pump when it is able to clear. So it ended up being a really good zone to jump in on that. And obviously this isn't financial advice, make your own decisions and all that stuff, but it was a pretty good zone. Anyway, Dogecoin's pumping, which unfortunately I've noticed when Dogecoin pumps, the market's about to dump. Maybe it's already done. Maybe it's going to lead the way, but I digress. Maybe we won't get into meme coins as much. So let's kind of look at the rest of the market. Tron had the release that they're going to do a 30% APY algorithmic stablecoin. So it's going to be similar to Terra, but it's going to beat it by 10%. So when that comes out and gets ready, I'll do a little video on what I think. I'm typically not the type of person who, when they release it, is going to jump right in, because I like to watch other people ape in and see what happens. Like, is the thing going to get hacked? Is it going to work? Is it going to function like it should? And then jump in down the road. Because for me, it's more about capital preservation than it is about getting a quick yield, because the person who can take the longest period of time to earn their money and consistently earns up rather than getting wrecked and all over the place is the person who wins in the end. So as we look down the road, Cosmos held 30 for so long, it finally fell through. It fell pretty hard recently. ApeCoin's been 62% up in 7 days. It seems like it's on a pretty good run. And we'll even look at this little 7-day chart with ApeCoin. It seems like we come up, we find a little bottom, we come up, we find a higher bottom, we come up, we're finding another top, we're going to find another higher bottom, and it seems like it's still got a lot of room to grow. So I would not put it past Ape to continue pumping, even though I did see the Bored Ape Yacht Club official Instagram get hacked, and I know a bunch of NFTs were stolen. So that's not very good. Anyway, let's keep looking at the market and really what's going on. Phantom $1.08. It's a pretty good deal on Phantom. It's been getting hammered lately, but everything kind of looks similar in these charts. I still, look at Phantom. It's number 43. It's got a $2 billion market cap. But when we look over here on DeFi Llama and we look at chains, Phantom is right here. It's number 6. It's not number 43, which Telos, Icons, whatever these are, Tezos. It's up here. It's number 6. And it's still 0.52 in terms of market cap to total locked value, which means it's incredibly undervalued. So when I look at Phantom and the fact that Phantom is like legitimately on the tail of Solana, it's incredible to me that it's still so far down, and it shows me that Phantom has a lot of room to pump. And the Phantom coins and tokens that are in the network, once it does start moving up, those ones have a lot of room to move. So the whole chain is just undervalued. And just in all transparency, I have I think it was 67% of what I'm doing is in Phantom. So I am a fan and I do use it, and I like it quite a bit. But that's kind of what the market looks like. We've got obviously short-term gain, but a lot of still long-term loss over 7 days. I think we're coming up on, let's go back to the Bitcoin chart. Get into some TA now. So when we look at where we're at, what's going on right now with the chart is pretty much what I've been talking about the last 7 weeks. It's just a game of trying to get past this zone that we just can't clear. We have no strength once we get to it. I mean, you look at previously, we obviously got rejected here and wicked down, and then we tried, failed, and that pushed us all the way down to this bottom. And then we came back up, tried again, failed, tried again, failed, pushed us all the way back to this bottom, tried again, failed, pushed us to the next bottom. Then we finally cleared it. It took us quite a few days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so. And then we actually cleared it, but then we got rejected off the 200-day moving average. And then that we wicked off here, which was great, but then we kept getting rejected off the 200-day. And then we just got annihilated on the day that Bitcoin conference happened. And then that was enough to push us straight back down and below it. So now what we're doing is we're sitting in this range that I've sort of marked off. Oh, I ruined it. I just ruined it. So anyway, we're sitting in this range that I just marked off. We're just below this sort of zone that I have marked here, but we're kind of in between here. So as you can see, we wicked off pretty close to this 38 zone. And as you can see over here, we played in this zone quite a bit. So this became a support line. We've obviously played in it over here quite a bit. So now we've wicked pretty close to it. We wicked almost just right on top of it. So now what we're looking at is another instance to where we try to come up and challenge this. And obviously a few days ago, we actually pushed through. We went all the way up to 42.9. And then we got rejected off the bull market support band, and it pushed us all the way back down, that was a pretty strong rejection. I mean, when you look at this one, it was up there for barely a day. I don't even think a full day. It was a couple of hours, and it immediately got pushed straight back down. And that just crushed us. It crushed us all the way down. That was a strong rejection. So now what we're looking at is because we came all the way down to 38.1, what's looking at now that we're going to do is we're likely going to come up and challenge it again. And as we can see in the past, challenging it multiple times, if we don't make it on the second time, results in an even bigger sort of dump. So just like right here, challenge, fail, challenge, fail, all the way down. Challenge, fail, all the way down. Challenge, fail, challenge. So it just kind of happens over and over again. But what's going on now is looks like we're probably going to push back up and test into this. And I think if we get rejected again, what might happen is we might come in and put a lower bottom in than what we had. Interesting thing on the day is we're about to have this bullish cross come over. So if that bullish cross happens right there, that'll give us quite a bit of momentum. Every time, obviously, this thing crosses, the blue goes on top. What in the MACD, what happens is we have good momentum. And so what we're looking at right now is we've had this sort of red momentum, but you can see it starting to clear back up and starting to move into what should come up and be a green candle once tomorrow's daily closes, unless we have a colossal dump. So that's kind of what it looks like on the daily. When we look at the monthly, it's similar to what I've been talking about previously. It actually doesn't look that bad. We are still putting in higher lows. So this low in January was that 33 zone. This low in February was that 34 zone. This low in March was that 37.1. And so far in April, our low is, let's get real tactical. Our low is 38.2. And so when we look at the fact that we're still achieving these higher lows, if we can keep doing this, that's definitely a good sign. If we drop below that, that's definitely not a good sign, because then we're moving into a lower position or lower time frame or lower range. Again, once we've challenged this month, we failed. And so I think what we're gearing up to do is challenge it again, because as you can see on this one, we had a decent week and then it pushed all the way back down. Now we're pushing all the way back up. We're likely going to challenge it again. And same thing's going to happen. If we clear it, it's going to come back and test just like this, cleared it, tested, pushed, rejected. So what's going to happen likely is we're going to clear it. We're going to test, we're going to come back and test this. And then if we get rejected, straight back down. But if we push past this, we're likely going to push through and then come back and test, and then that will put us in launch mode. So it's similar to what I've been talking about previously. I mean, we're just dependent on clearing this zone, and this thing keeps moving down, obviously. So now it's this 41.8 to about 43 flat that we need to clear. And then the ultimate zone is that 47.8. Like that's the celebratory zone. Like we clear that 200-day moving average and we're in a good spot. I don't think we're in necessarily a full bear market. And I know I talked about this last time, but we had this cross right here on the weekly, which the last time we saw a good cross that stuck was when we had a parabolic run, and we obviously got rejected. So that pushed us back under, but now it's starting to push back over. So we've got this like confused period we're in. We're just kind of waiting, like which one is going to confirm? Is it going to come back through? And now that it's coming back up, is it going to cross at the end of this week? Are we going to see another cross back over that's bullish? Because right now we have this bearish cross, but is it going to cross bullish? And that's going to depend on what happens over the next few days and what the price action looks like. We close another weekly red candle, and it's likely that this thing is going to get rejected and push back down. But if we close a green candle at the end of the week, then this is going to push through and it's going to be bullish momentum. So that's another thing that we're kind of sitting on and really waiting on. So I don't necessarily think we're in like a full-blown bear market or a full-blown bull market. We're in kind of a decision market. And I've talked about these logarithmic zones quite a bit in the past, but we're still in this one, and these move up. So where we're at now is we're in this 36.8 zone to 50,500 zone-ish. That's kind of, once we clear this zone, which the first indication will be that 47.8, like I've said before, that gives us the strength to push back up probably to 72, just because by the very nature of clearing these things, it tends to push up to the next zone and then get rejected. Ultimately, I think once we're in a full-blown like bear market, like a real bear market, what will happen is we'll probably lose this and we'll probably come back down to 27.8. But what I would anticipate is a big wick, like a wick down to 21. And that would be like we fall, we wick, the thing pushes all the way back up and ends up right back here. So I wouldn't expect it to stay there for long. But in my opinion, this isn't financial advice. Limit orders there would be a dream for me. Like those are golden buying opportunities that are there and only come up for like 13 seconds. So I'm sure they're layered there because that's the 200-week moving average, which is indicative of kind of like the actual bottom of a bear market. Same thing we're looking at with ETH. It's just waiting for Bitcoin to do something. So ETH is, it did the same thing. It cleared and got pushed back down. Now we're coming back through to challenge this thing. So ETH is kind of just waiting in the same place. When we look on the weekly, ETH is totally indecisive. It's came above it, came below it, and now it's starting to cross above it again. So we need Bitcoin to do something to be able to really make anything happen. When we look at overall Bitcoin dominance, we did start to see Bitcoin peak and then it got pushed through, but Bitcoin dominance in terms of where it's been is sort of at like all-time lows. It's not high. So it's like all-time lows. What we need Bitcoin for, what should happen ideally is when Bitcoin does pump, it should lead a big rally for Bitcoin to clear like that 70,000 zone. And then Bitcoin dominance comes down and alts pump. So it perpetuates the cycle. Another thing that I think is interesting, and before I move on, let me check if there's any questions over here in the chat. If there's any questions and you're watching this, just comment below at any time, and I'll be sure to remember to come in here and check. But another interesting thing that I've noticed is when the US dollar pumps, Bitcoin tends to dump. And when you look at the US dollar right now, the US dollar started dumping in May 2020. So that's really when it kind of hit its peak, and then it started plummeting, and the US dollar kind of found its bottom in January 2021 when Bitcoin was on a pretty big parabolic rally. And then March 2021 is when the dollar started pumping, and coincidentally, Bitcoin dumped. And then it found its bottom again in May 24th, 2021. And then it started pumping back up. So May was when we started to have the descent of Bitcoin. And then ever since then, what's interesting is the dollar's actually been moving up quite aggressively. So let's find that November, August, September. So when you see right here, when we had that little peak for Bitcoin, it was a little bit of the dollar was still pretty much rallying. So it was kind of it was an interesting rally that it actually happened. But when we look at the dollar, it's just been pumping hard. Like the value of the dollar has gone up a lot ever since it hit the bottom in May 24th, 2021. But what I've noticed that's happening as well that I think might play out is in terms of the dollar here, what we're seeing is it's been in this channel for quite a while. So it entered this channel like October 2014, and it hit this first peak here in December 2016, this bottom here, February 2018, this top here, March 2020, this bottom here, May 3rd, 2021. And so now, though, we're about to hit a top again. So what I think will be interesting to watch is, will the dollar come up and hit the top and then come back down? And by February 1st, 2024, coincidentally, when the next halving of Bitcoin happens, the dollar finds its bottom. And so then it moves itself on another rally back up in like 2025. Will that happen? Does that make sense? Or will the dollar push through this and just go on a crazy rally? Historically, and from what we've looked at, is the dollar has been in this, unable to break this range. So what I think will probably happen is we'll hit the top and then we'll start pushing back down. And as the dollar pushes down, Bitcoin tends to come up, which means Ethereum will come up. And so because they have this inverse relationship, if this starts plummeting, then these assets start going up. So that's something to look out for and pay attention to. When we look at the overall scale of things, the dollar's been in this, I guess, long-term downward experience. So going, if I was to draw a line, and so if that broke out, it might put it into a place to go parabolic. If it doesn't, it'll just stay in this channel. And if it keeps going in this channel, I mean, maybe it ends in 2036. So it will break to the downside or upside at some point. And so something to look out for of what happens next. And because of inflation and the Fed tightening policy, we could see this thing break out and the strength of the dollar go a lot higher. So that's something to pay attention to, because that will have a big impact on where Bitcoin and ETH move. When you look at the Dow Jones, it actually moves similar to how Bitcoin's been moving. So we've been rejected, and it's kind of trying to figure out where it wants to go. I drew this line as like a bottom line previously. So it was similar to where we hit here, and then where we wicked here, another fight here and right here where we rallied, and then we wicked right here. So if we break below this, I think we have quite a bit of downside. I mean, if the US was in a recession, maybe we go somewhere down farther. But right now, I think if we stay above this line, and in terms of the Dow Jones, we're in a good place. And if the Dow pumps, lately Bitcoin tends to pump. So it is a correlated asset, even if we don't want to admit that it is. Outside of that, I think when we're looking at the overall market, DeFi as a whole, and I'm going to do a separate DeFi video, down just a little bit. DeFi doesn't look bad. When we look at Anchor, just killing it. When we look at the chains, kind of which tokens or which blockchain platforms are really doing well, Ethereum isn't doing, it's just being Ethereum. It's moving at a snail's pace because it's the largest. Luna, just unstoppable, 15% up in a month, 6% up in 7 days. BNB's been moving decently, not a ton of move or change. Everything else is kind of getting hammered. Phantom, Avalanche, Solana down quite a bit. Tron had some good news, so they've been pumping as of recently. Polygon had good news with Stripe processing US dollar coin payments for Twitter people. So that should have given it some room to move, but it's still down quite a bit, which is the nature of the game. Kronos is the crypto.com's chain. That one's not doing bad. It seems like CRO is a pretty good pick. These are actually usually coins too. So it's like Kronos, you see it consistently moving up. It might be a good pick. It's not really that overvalued either. You look at Polygon, Matic, the token, it's not really that overvalued either. Tron. So a lot of these, when you see a lot of green, it might be an opportunity because you have something that's up and coming. You look at Near, one day, doesn't really matter, but You look at 150% in a month. Okay, so then you open near, like what's going on in that chain? And you go in there and you figure out what projects are doing well. It seems a little bit overvalued, but the thing's growing exponentially. So that's another good way to kind of look at things and see if it's overvalued, undervalued, what's up and coming. When you look at Optimism, it's supposed to have a token launch. So if you're paying attention in Optimism, might be a good idea to use some of their stuff. But that's kind of where I see the market is. Let me know if that's helpful. Just give me a helpful down below. And if there's something you want me to cover in this market update, just let me know. I want to keep this as a neutral playground. And what I mean by that is I don't want to come in here with like this bullish rally cry, like we're pumping, we're going to the moon. I don't want to shill stuff. I don't want to say things are going crazy. I don't want to be, I want to be objective. I don't want to say we're pumping. I don't want to say we're dumping. I want to give what the realistic scenario is and what the possibilities of where we're going are, so people can make an educated decision on what to do. I think the thing that a lot of people are missing in this market is the ability to think. If you can learn and understand how to think critically, how to think independently, and how to think objectively, it makes you so much better of an investor. And it puts you in such a better position to make buying decisions. It's been paramount for me to recognize that the ability to think rationally and objectively has allowed me to become a good investor and a good user in DeFi and not get wrecked because I'm emotionally attached to a coin. I'm emotionally attached to a pump, or I'm emotionally attached to an influencer or someone telling me something. The more you can think like that, I think the better off you're going to be in this market. So let me know if that was helpful. Let me know if this was helpful. Just give me a helpful down below. And if you, let me know what your number one biggest takeaway is in the comments. And I will post a link to my free chat down below so you can jump in and we can